Welcome back to The Globe on SABC News. Cameroon is on a countdown to Sunday's presidential polls, a day after two opposition political parties joined hands to dislodge six-term President Paul Biya in the polls. The new opposition union will not include the main opposition Social Democratic Front's hopeful Joshua Osih. 85-year-old Biya has been in power for 35 years and will face off against 8 opposition contenders. The frontrunners are Joshua Osih, Maurice, Kamto and Akera Muna.
Maurice Kamto, a candidate in the October 7 election, has promised to bring peace to Cameroon's English-speaking regions of the northwest and southwest. During the campaign, Kamto, who is a professor and the president of Cameroon's Movement for the Renaissance of Cameroon, or MRC, used his Facebook page to criticize a private television station for broadcasting hate speeches towards the Anglophone Cameroonians. The MRC candidate has promised to create jobs and corruption and start a dialogue between Francophone and Anglophone Cameroonians to end the conflict between separatists and security forces, using a scorched earth tactic to flush them out. On the campaign trail in Cameroon's biggest city, the commercial capital Douala, Kamto told his supporters that if elected, his first trip would be to the northwest and the southwest regions to meet his people and tell them that they are Cameroonians.
Should you honor me of electing me as the third president of this country? Louder, people, yes! My first political trip will be in the northwest and the southwest. I will go there to meet my people. I miss them because I love them. I will go there to tell them that they are Cameroonians. I will go there to wipe up their tears. I will go there to bring them out from the forest. I will go to Nigeria to bring them back to country. And then I will help them rebuild the villages which have been burned down to ashes. I will rebuild the villages.
Another candidate, 66-year-old Akera Muna, is a lawyer who founded the Cameroon section of Transparency International, an anti-corruption watchdog.
Muna, die hard small. Only few days.
You need to be patient for a few more days, just a few more days. I'm going to wear my best shoes to kick the current government in their backside, to tell them it's enough, that they can't continue. The northwest and southwest contribute 40%, almost half of the economy of this country. 40%. In the last year, we lost about $100 million in national revenue. This year, we will lose more than that, because a few people who are not even up to 100 in number who think they have the right to keep ruling and exploiting the nation. But I have news for them. Those that know me, that for the past 30 years, I've been fighting corruption.
This is the first time since the 1992 presidential election that two opponents of President Paul Biya have formed a coalition against the ruling president. And the election takes place amid a climate of fraud allegations. The opposition accuses the electoral body of favoring the incumbent President Paul Biya. Worse, this election kicks off in a particularly complex security context, with armed conflict in the two English-speaking regions of the northwest and southwest, and repeated attacks by Boko Haram jihadists in the far north region.
Thousands of Cameroonians displaced by a separatist insurgency in the English-speaking northwest and southwest regions may find themselves with nowhere to vote in Sunday's presidential election. Armed separatist groups have vowed to stop the election from happening in Anglophone areas of the country. Cameroon's current Anglophone crisis began in October 2016, when lawyers and teachers in English-speaking cities went on strike in protest at having to use French in schools and courtrooms. The chaos in Anglophone opposition strongholds may help Cameroon's 85-year-old President Paul Biya, who is expected to easily win a 7th term to extend his 36 years in office. For 10 years after the French and English-speaking regions joined together to make modern-day Cameroon, the country was a federation in which the Anglophone regions had their own police, government, and judicial system. Support for secession grew in 2017 when thousands took to the streets demanding a breakaway state. This was followed by weeks of protests that resulted in clashes between protesters and security forces. The government crackdown on the earlier peaceful protests has killed dozens, bolstering support for radical elements calling for secession. Amnesty International has condemned the violence on both sides and is calling on the next government to urgently deal with what they say is a human rights crisis.